Good evening, dear members, guests, and friends. It's a true honor to welcome you tonight at TheMerode for what promises to be an extraordinary evening. This event is part of our Art Matters program. It is our conviction that art is essential. Now, more than ever, art is essential to live, to question, to connect, and to imagine new possibilities together. This evening also marks the opening of our new season, introducing a holistic program with leading voices and covering an array of topics ranging from geopolitics, science, arts, finance, and modern life. And we are very thrilled to begin it with such a unique encounter. In my very first weeks at TheMerode, I remember Kendell Geers asking me, should we try and invite Marina Abramović? I practically jumped out of my chair. Marina? Absolutely. How? When? And here we are tonight. That spark of an idea turned into reality. Thank you, Kendell, for making the impossible possible. Tonight, we are honored to host two remarkable artists, Marina Abramović and Kendell Geers. Marina Abramović, often described as the world's greatest living performance artist, brought performance art to the global attention, while challenging the very idea of art as a commodity. And through the Marina Abramović Institute, which we proudly support, she continues to inspire the next generation of artists. Kendell Geers, likewise, is a fearless international leading artist whose work provokes thought and invites us to see the world differently. He's also one of TheMerode's curators, nurturing our program with insight and vision. The long-standing connection between Kendell and Marina promises a conversation full of stories, reflections, and perhaps even surprises. TheMerode is the private members club where business, culture, and community converge. A place that dares to be different, where imagination connects and that brings bold ideas and people into action. We push boundaries, create an agora for ideas, and embrace an international community. And just look at tonight, only a glimpse of what awaits us this season. May this evening be inspiring, thought-provoking, and awakening us in ways that only art and artists can. On behalf of TheMerode, I would like to thank all of you for being here and for your continuous curiosity and openness. Merci d'être avec nous ce soir. Dank u wel voor uw aanwezigheid. I also want to take a moment to thank our incredible team whose dedication, creativity, and hard work has made the evening possible. And a special word of gratitude to our founder, Bruno Pagny, whose vision and commitment make TheMerode itself possible. Merci, Bruno. Now, without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Marina Abramović and Kendell Geers. Thank you. Merci. Dank u.
Good evening. Welcome. What a wonderful evening. I can feel the buzz. Every single one of us in the room, I think, knows what art is. Because 75,000 years ago, people made art in Blombos Cave. 19,000 years ago, people made art in Lascaux. 35,000 years ago, people made art in Altamira. But nobody can say why. And in fact, it's a fascinating thing because for as long as human beings have existed, they have made art. Why? It's not necessary. You can't eat art. You can't live off art, although people do today, but the need to make art, because art, and I think of art a little bit like the faith that exists. And from the faith you make an icon, and you put the icon on an altar. You build a temple around the altar. You build a village around the temple. You build a community. At the center of our communities is art. Art brings us together. Now, nobody can define art? Because if I asked every single person in the room, and there are a number of wonderful artists. I mean, I see Alfredo Jarre there, who's got an exhibition opening this week. I mean, coming from New York, coming from Chile. I think Alfredo would be able to give a brilliant definition of art, but I don't want to ask him his definition of art, because I'm sure Marina's definition of art will be different. I don't want to ask a definition of art because in order to understand why art matters, we need to ask, what is an artist? Marina, what is an artist?
Wow. First, thank you to have me here. My love to Belgium takes long history. And I want to just say something before I answer the question, how happy I was. In my mind, one of the center international of the art scene in 70s, 80s, 90s, it was Jan Hout in Ghent. He was the so special curator, director of the museum, but also incredible lover of us artists. And he was not afraid of taking risk, taking incredible much, the energy putting into the artwork and presenting the works was not accepted at that time. He was really true visionary. So this is the Ghent. Now we are in Brussels, and I think the Kendell, with this kind of the conversations and your activity here, the Brussels can actually become new Ghent. I hope so.
Well, I think we're talking about TheMerode, I hope.
But, it's interesting. In the 70s, artists talk to each other. These days, nobody even talk to each other, not even see each other, because you're always thinking somebody will steal somebody else's ideas. And it's all about competition and jealousy, anger, and so much. But being together with artists and talking and having this kind of public, I think is really meaningful. So, what makes you an artist? All right. If any student come to me and say to me, I want to be an artist, I send him home immediately. You can't become an artist. You are born as an artist. Or you can't become. It's not something that you learn. You have genetically the predisposition to be an artist. Mozart he didn't learn to be a musician. He was born like this. It's something to do like DNA. But at the same time, it's just having this DNA. It's also, you have to wake up in the morning, and it's like breathing. You have to create. Breathing is, if you don't breathe, you die. But you have ideas in the morning, and they're as urgent as the breathing. And these ideas you have to realize. But at the same time, this makes you just an artist, fine. But what makes you really good artist? Good artist makes you the fever. There's a huge dedication that you can't even live without doing this. Again, it's just good artist. But what makes you great artist? Great artist is a little more. Great artist is that you actually sacrifice lots of your private life, lots of your normal life, really spend time with your ideas. But then, in every century, there is only few artists who change the way how society think. And these are really the most important ones. Because, you have lots of great artists. Every century you have millions. But then you have one Malevich, then you have one Marcel Duchamp, then you have one Rothko, then you have one Van Gogh. There are some artists who actually change the way how we see art. And these artists I call wow artists. So that's the highest category. I hope I answer your question.
Can I interrupt you there? Because you're not answering the question, but we'll get back to the question.
The breathing or fever?
The fever is fantastic. I like the idea of fever. Does anybody know Wellington, the Battle of Waterloo? I don't see many hands. How many people know what Napoleon looks like? I think we'll know. I mean, Napoleon, I think, it's better to say who doesn't know what Napoleon looks like. Because Wellington won the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon lost the Battle of Waterloo. But Napoleon commissioned the greatest artists of his time to paint his portrait. Ingres, David, I mean, the list goes on and on. We know what Napoleon looked like because of artists. I'll use another example.
Yeah, but we know Wellington boots, that's it.
Well, we know Wellington boots. Apparently it was a wet day, it was raining a lot, and apparently that's what the French say why Napoleon lost. But that's another discussion. The last 2025 years have been magnificent, and imagine all the religions, all the faiths, all the countries, all the signs and symbols of the last 2025 years. Delete from that image art. What's left? How will we know what to believe in if artists didn't create an image of our fears and our desires and our martyrs and our icons and our gods and our demons and our angels? And one of the things you've said in your book, Marina wrote this amazing book. It's fantastic, Walk Through Walls. And one of the things you said is that you suffered and you felt pain so that your audience did not need to.
Wait, we're going from Napoleon to pain. It's kind of big, a big jump. How we can do that?
Well, you're giving an image to something. You're embodying something.
You start with Altamira. Let's go back to Altamira. I had a really interesting actually detail. It was so interesting to find out very recently that all Altamira and cave paintings from a million years old that actually are painted by women. Because, they sit in the cave, take care of children, food, and men is just hunting and do some wars around. But it's all done by women. It's pretty interesting that actually entire art, this humanity start with women. What happened then? How we actually lost it, this old territory? That's an interesting question for me. But you're not busy with this. You're busy with the pain now. Okay, so we humans have three basic, fears in our life. Fear of pain, fear of temporality, and fear of death. There are three basic frames. These three basic frames are everywhere. You can see them in the literature, in the music, in the art, in painting. This is our main subject in our lives. So, in my case, I'm working with my body. Body is subject and object of my work. So, I create these performances in a specific time, a specific place, and I step in the front to the audience, and I actually create very difficult, painful, the scenario that I'm going through this. And if I can free myself from the fear of pain, then I can be your mirror. You can free pain yourself. So this is really one of the reasons of all of this. And I was very inspired by very ancient cultures, all the ceremonies from Aborigines, Central Australia, Tibetans, Aborigines, the shamans, they really go through the ceremonies, initiations. They're very physical, it's very painful, because the pain is a door of secrets. Way how to go through the door of secrets, you can liberate yourself from fear, but also really go into and open another door of consciousness. And this is so important.
The origins of performance art begin with a very young Marina Abramović lying on the grass looking at the sky. You might have been 12 years old. And you see some aircraft flying over, and you see the white lines behind the aircraft, and you see them disappear. And you got very inspired, and you wanted to go to the military base because you had a connection to your father who was involved with the military base. And you wanted to get the idea of drawing in the sky. You understood that art doesn't have to be something on a canvas, something that is commodified, something that is within the languages of the known of what art was permitted to be at the time. And this opened the doors to what later becomes performance art. But at the same time, what is interesting is when you read your book, is there's certain themes which are reoccurring. And one of the themes which I really love is the gun. The theme of the gun. Both your parents were in the military and they slept with loaded guns on their bedside table, which is that's an amazing impression. And then on your 14th birthday, your father gave you a gun. I think you lost it in the snow, but that's not the story
It was very interesting. The gun was extremely small, and he gave to me this gun for my 14th birthday, and he said to me, this is opera gun, because it will fit in opera little bag. Who cared a little gun for opera? It was completely normal at that time.
I don't know if it's the same gun, but then you were with a friend, more or less, I think at 14 as well in the book, and you decided to play Russian roulette, and you started to shoot, and then you shot in the other direction, and the gun went off, and it went in Dostoevsky's The Idiot. I don't know if that's true, or if that's mythological, or if that's what you would like it to be, but that's not the question. The gun comes back, because after the story with the aeroplanes, and after you understood that you wanted to become a performance artist, you proposed to do the Russian roulette as a performance. And of course they said no.
But I'm live, I'm in front of you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
How much of art and the processes is a healing process? How much are we taking our childhood traumas and memories and channeling them?
Bruce Nauman had a wonderful sentence. He said, life is matter of... not life. Art is matter of life and death. Sounds melodramatic, but it's very true. Only when you take anything you do, not 100%, it's too easy, 150%, that you put entire soul, entire molecules of your body into the work, that 100% counts. And this is really a question of life and death. And it's the only way you can do really good art. And then you feel, the public can feel that energy. Otherwise it's useless.
Yeah, but there's another, in your book, you also speak about your mother and your aunt slapping you. And then you later do a performance with Ulay slapping. There's this interesting relationship between memory.
I never made this connection in my life. Wow.
Well, the gun comes, because on, the most remarkable work that you made that everybody talks about, Rhythm Zero. Everybody knows Rhythm Zero. 72 pieces on a table. Marina, I think it was in Naples. And Marina presents, it's more or less your breakthrough work. And on the table you have a feather and a pen and a knife and a gun.
Only 23 years old.
23 years old. And the gun is there again. And the slapping is there. Do we ever heal from our parents?
Kill our parents?
How do we do that?
I did not father, but mother, so many times in my thoughts, because I had really tough upbringing. But looking back, I'm incredibly grateful. I think really what I went through and I come from, this is how actually this mixture worked for me. I could never be what I am now if I didn't have this unbelievable, the military control, incredible, the severe upbringing, the really radical, the courage of my father, spirituality of my grandmother. This was kind of unbeatable mix. It was heavy, it was hard, and lots of pain and lots of suffering. But then right now, looking backwards, it was great.
Let's talk about the pain and suffering. I mean, the Rhythm Zero, before that, I think your breakthrough work was called Rhythm 10.
Can we just talk about how everything went? Why actually I was painting. My first performance my first exhibition of painting was I was 14, and I was just painting dreams. It was simple. I go to sleep, I get great vivid dreams all in color, and I paint them in the morning. But then I want to talk about my first painting lesson, because that actually kind of marked incredibly important moment in my life. And I was at that time 14 again, and my father brought his soldier who was really abstract painter, but he was in Second World War with my father, and he came to buy with me color paintings, because oil was like a big dream. You paint with a little watercolor, and then you get oil, and this is like upgrading. So he went to this shop to buy these oil paintings with this ex-soldier of my father. So he bought lots of canvases, but really cut them irregularly. He bought yellow paint, red paint, all pigments, the turpentine. He bought the paint oil for the painting, brushes, no one brush, and then some cement and some glue. And we had a tiny little studio who was my studio where painting. So he gave me my first painting lesson. This was something I never forget in my whole life. And actually, I think that this leads to performance and everything else. He cut the canvas irregularly, put on the floor, put some of the yellow pigment, some red pigment, a little bit of blue. He put over cement and lots of glue. He put over turpentine. He light the match, throw match on the canvas. Everything exploded. And he looked at me and said, "This is sunset," and left. If you're 14 and you see the first painting lesson, it's very impressive. So then what happened, I look into sunset on the floor in the mess, and then I wait till dry, and very carefully I put on the wall with the 4 nails, and I went to vacation with my family. Sun was directly hitting that painting. So when I came back, only rubble and cement and dirt was lying, because sun was just hitting and melted everything down. Then this kind of painting lesson deals with the idea that much later that actually process is more important than the result. Process is everything. Then, if you think about Yves Klein, who said, my paintings are just ashes of my art, or you think about Jackson Pollock with the splashing painting. So this was really important. So after that, I understood when I was lying on the field and looking at the aeroplanes, why I could not make painting in the sky, why I could not use fire, water, blood, why actually blood become the color and the body become the canvas. And this was leading to performance. And that was kind of very natural. And then everything else, I never try. in studio, I understood that performing in the front of the public is the only way I can work, because I will never do something alone. First, I will not like it because it's painful. I don't like pain in the first place. Second, I didn't have public. I don't want to do anything with the public because I will give up early. But the public give you this extra energy that you can go beyond your limits, and this is why public is necessary. Public and artists who perform is unity and is one.
It's funny you say you don't like pain, because I want to go back to what I think was your breakthrough work, which was Rhythm 10, 1973. You were 27 years old. And it was the work where you were stabbing, you had a knife and you were stabbing your hands backwards and forwards, 10 knives, and you were stabbing and cutting yourself. This is not just performance. I mean, you were hurting yourself. And you were very young, you were unknown, and you did this at I think it was in Belgrade. No, it was in Edinburgh. And in your book, I mean, I would like to read the whole quote because it's fascinating. You spoke about electricity running through your body. The audience and I had become one, a single organism. The sense of danger in the room had united the onlookers and me in that moment. The here and now and nowhere else. I had experienced absolute freedom. I had felt that my body was without boundaries, limitless, that pain did not matter, that nothing mattered, and it intoxicated me. I was drunk from the overwhelming energy that I received. From that moment, I knew I'd found my medium. No painting, no object that I could make could ever give me that kind of feeling. And what's interesting is we'll speak later about the evolution of Marina Abramović, but in the beginning, you were really obsessed with this idea of, you speak about the pain and walking through walls, the boundaries, the suffering, the failure, the challenge to your emotional and physical body, and also want to speak about the difference between emotional pain and physical pain.
But you know, when you start working with your body, the first thing what I done, I went to the hospitals to look the very difficult operations in human body, the spine operation, the heart operation, the knee replacement, this operation 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. I want to know what is the human body. What is this when you open the body, when you things, when you put the nails or whatever, you know, and sew everything together after operation. Where is the limit of physical body? This was really important, and the first thing is how you can actually try this with yourself. I think that nobody ever get changed by reading somebody else's book. You know, you read this wonderful book and you think you're changed. You close the book and you're exactly the same. Only way to change yourself is to do your own experience, so that I need to know what pain is and how I can get free of pain. It was through my own direct experience.
You also made, in your manifesto, you made a few alarming statements. You say, an artist should suffer. From suffering brings transformation. Through suffering, the artist transcends their spirit.
You know how important is suffering, my dear. Depression is not good. Depression is disease. I don't like depressions. Depression is disease, have to be treated. But suffering is important. I mean, you know, because you have to really go deep inside of you. You know that nobody in the world, the human being, never change. You think you change yourself, but you don't. The only true change comes through really suffering. If you're terminal ill, you're sick, your friend died, your family have problems, you have accidents, all of these incredible, difficult, turbulent moments in your life, this is the only time when you really change, because you don't want to change otherwise. You're too comfortable and you never want to go out of your comfort zone. You always like to do what you like to do. That means you're repeating yourself and you're not going anywhere. You're absolutely taking the same story over and over again. You know, when you go to unknown, you go to the place you've never been, you go to the really door of pain, you find something else there. And this is the real transformation, a real change. And for me, why performance is important form of art. It's so difficult form of art. First of all, is immaterial, is really the, you know, time-based, that you have to be there to experience. And why is so difficult? Difficult because you really have to be there in present, with yourself and your mind, here and now. And then you have to have this perfect connection to the public. This is one of the most difficult form ever.
Do you think it's possible to be an artist if you're not suffering?
You know what? I was thinking that you really have to suffer. But since I get really older, I think it's not necessary. But I changed my mind. Honestly, I really changed my mind because everything took so hard all my life. I am now talking about 65 years of career. This is not little. And next year I'm 80. So I don't want to suffer anymore. I'm actually pretty happy. I almost don't know what to do. How we can work from happiness. It's so difficult to work from happiness.
This raises another very, very interesting question that I think a lot of people have in their minds. Your book is dedicated to friends and enemies. Now, this is a very interesting thing because you know that you've made a lot of enemies because you say there are three Marina Abramović. When you die, you want to have three graves, one in Belgrade, one in Netherlands, and one in New York for the three different marinas. And some people love the one marina and not the other one, and others think the other one is compromised and this one is great, and they want you to be what their fantasy is. Tell us about your enemies.
It was really important to dedicate a book to friends and enemies because I hate to lie and I like to tell the truth. So I really tell the truth in this book. So many friends say to me, "Are you crazy? How you can tell this like this to the public?" And they really become enemies. They really didn't like it at all. But then the enemies look at the book and say, "Wow, she really tell this stuff," and become friends. So friends and enemies, you get all of them.
But why would you dedicate the book to your enemies? Were you being ironical?
Listen, it's really easy. His Holiness Dalai Lama, who I really very much respect, he say a very important thing. It's very easy to forgive to friends. It's very difficult to forget to enemies. But when you forget, you learn to forgive, not forget, to learn forgive to enemies, you really understand what means conditional love. And if we, in this world, as it is so fucked up right now, can learn to forgive, this world will be different.
The Dalai Lama also gave you fantastic advice about humor, and I know you love jokes.
Dalai Lama is really, I was very lucky to meet him very early. He said, it's so important to start always with a joke. You start anything first with joke, and then you hit them with the truth. But first the joke. And this is really open your heart, and then you tell a real story. For me, humor is extremely important. I love telling jokes. I love telling jokes first about myself and then about everything else.
Art must be beautiful, artist must be beautiful. This was one of the most incredible videos, I think it was a performance actually in the beginning, that Marina made, where she's brushing her hair, and you're pulling the hair out and you're getting aggressive, and it's very masochistic. You're here because of beauty. You are here thanks to beauty. And I don't mean in the TheMerode, I mean in the world.
First of all, this was the most ironical work I made. Art must be beautiful, artists must be beautiful, because I really don't believe that art have to be only beautiful. The painting should really match your color with the carpet in your dining room. I really think that art have to be disturbing. Art have to ask questions, art to be social, art to be political, art to be spiritual. I have to have so many layers of meaning that every society can take one at the time that he needs.
Yes, but that's not what I mean. So in your book you explain during the war, your mother came down with typhus and was lying unconscious, badly wounded, covered by a blanket.
This you mean,
And your father was a lover of women, and he saw her long hair, and he lifted the blanket, and he saw how beautiful she was. He saved her life.
That's a really true story. And she was unconscious, and she had the typhus, and it was in the middle of the war, and he saved her life. And then...
Because she was beautiful.
That's true. My father went for beauty. And then what happened after? He bring you on the horse in the safe territory, and leave her for few months. She got better. She go back to the front again. She was in a sanität taking wounded partisans into safety. And then 2 years later, in the middle of the war, came my father, completely heavy wounded, losing so much blood. And that time, nobody got transfusion. It was impossible in that circumstances. He had the same blood group like her, and she gave him the blood and saved his life. She remembered his face even through the fever. And this is how, they got together after the war. And then I was born.
And then you made a work saying artists must be beautiful.
Not related to this story at all. This is your interpretation. Really, you connect stuff that I never think of it. It's impossible. Okay, can we just interrupt two little things? Why I was crazy about him and why we are here in the first place, because we are friends. But this is the story, really, what happened. In Bonn, there was 1999, and there was very, incredibly kind of often, they make this huge exhibition on the end of century, end of 20th century, because we're going to all die in the 21st or whatever. In this, it was about a group of, I think, 25 artists in Bonn, in the big show in Kunsthalle there. And I met him in the elevator. He said, Kendell Geers, I said, Marina Abramović, and that's it. Then I went up to my room and had the catalog, and I was looking the catalog of the show, and I want to see who he is. Everybody in the catalog has the best looking photo, because artists are always narcissistic and they love, they look the greatest. So I look for him, and there was no photo. Instead of photograph, that was a broken beer bottle. Wow. I mean, that's really something. Broken beer bottle, no, any human. And then next morning I meet him, I want to talk to him, I want to know who he is, and I discover a fascinating South African artist, incredible radical, uncompromised, and really tough. That was a pure friendship immediately.
You told me earlier you wanted to speak about, what did you call it, compromise? What did you call it?
You don't even know the word. I know. You forgot how even...
Some elegant compromise, what did you say?
No, I'm talking about healthy compromise.
Healthy
That's
compromise.
Another different theme.
Yeah, you wanted to tell me something about that.
Healthy compromise, again, you learn with age. When you're young, you're so radical. In the beginning, when I started doing performances, I would say no photographs, no any documentation, absolutely bullshit. It's going to be performance, it will be live, who saw, who didn't, who cares, maybe in the memory stays. Then you start doing more and more work. Then you realize, oh my God, I'm going to do all this work, no documentation, no history, nobody will know what I'm doing, what the hell is going to be there? So I start doing photographs, I start doing documentation, I start doing the video, and everything documented very well, as everybody knows. Now, then, then you say, okay, I will never repeat myself. I will do only once and that's it. And we succeed to do this quite often. But then later on you go into older age and you realize there are so many performances, they're made once and never going to be repeated. Then I start thinking, what about reperformance? What you do about reperformance? Why we don't give possibility to young performance artists to revisit history and do the reperformance? Then all my friends who have done performance radically, you say, this is horrible what you're doing. This is absolutely idiotic. How you can reperform something was done once? I say, yes, you can. Same as a theater piece, same as a dance. And then we actually made the rules. We made the competition who can do that, because you also can have bad performance, like a bad Mozart playing or great Mozart playing. So there's people who are charismatic enough, they can do this. And then we invent reperformance. And reperformance really was so important because you can revile what's happened in the past. This is already, starting with healthy compromise. Then comes MoMA show. In MoMA show, I want to make piece luminosity, which naked woman sitting on bicycle seat very high. And this piece I made in Berlin, 6 hours. So it's very difficult, immediately worker unions, they should go, they say we can't do more than 1 hour. 1 hour, okay, this is healthy compromise. Then came 2 lawyers from MoMA. They look all situation and they say to us, okay, this is impossible. It's going to be 15 minutes, the woman have to be helmet and safety belt. And this is completely not my work anymore. So I say impossible. Then I got healthy compromise for 15 minutes, but no helmet, no safety belt. And then I have to write also statement that I'm responsible for any damage for $1 million. I sign everything. I'm happy, I'm still, nobody sued me, everything was safe. But this was a mess. So healthy compromise is when you know you want to show something in this time with political correctness, because everything we've done in 70s will never be possible now. Just not, because of so many rules. But then you want to show them now, and you figure out how you can still have, the work with less compromise, but it can be seen. This is what you learn with age and wisdom of old age. You are not there yet.
I'm not there. You did say repeatedly that 60 is the golden age, and I'm arriving at 60, so I'm very excited. And I'm looking forward to the age of compromise. In preparation, I've read your book, I've watched a lot of your interviews, and there's a fantastic one that I highly recommend. You can all Google it, where you spoke about superstition. Now, you are very superstitious, and this is something which is unscientific, but a big part of your life. There's a lovely anecdote that I would like to speak about. So, apart from the meeting in Bonn, so just over 20 years ago, I was driving with Sandrine, my amazing wife, to Antwerp. She was pregnant. I was a stressful young man trying to get over this idea of becoming a father, which was one of my worst nightmares, and maybe we can speak about the nightmare of becoming a mother if you want. And I was saying to Sandrine, I would like to invite Marina to be the godmother of our child. And we were talking, and it's an hour drive. I think there was traffic, and we discussed it. In the end, we agreed, okay,
Worst
yes.
choice, but never.
And in the end, it's not your turn yet. In the end, we agreed, okay, let's ask Marina. And do you think Marina will agree? I don't know. Now, I'm also superstitious, and I do crazy things. And, the people who work at TheMerode know I'm a pain in the ass because I have strange ideas about things. And one of the things I tend to do is I have an empty seat next to me in the theater. So we were going to the single, and I had an empty seat, and as the lights go, and it was nice, and the second row, as the lights go down...
Jan Fabre.
Jan Fabre. Can we say Jan Fabre in Belgium still? Is that allowed? So, as the lights go down, a shadow slides into the seat next to me, and I turn with my South African wild side, about to aggress the person next to me, who feels the aggression, looks at me in the eye. I look at her in the eye, and it's Marina. Marina goes, Kendell? I go, Marina? I was like, Marina, we were just talking about you. And that's superstition. And that's the beauty of how life colludes to make things possible.
This is not superstition. This is synchronicity.
And I invited you to be the godmother. And you said yes. So some years later, Marina ended up at the center of a conspiracy theory. You've all heard of QAnon and Pizzagate.
Yeah, but wait, can we do this after my explanation? So, can you imagine? I never want to have children because I want just to do art. There's so many women, good mothers. I'm not one of them. So, then I never had child in my hand, ever. So now, they are a young couple. They came to Stromboli, which I had the house, and they say, we're going to beach. They give me 8 months. How old she was?
Not even
maybe
8 months,
7 months, let's say. 7 months, this little baby. They give me in my hand, they say, we go all day for the beach, and you just take care. I freak out completely. So what I can do? He says, very simple. If she cry, then feed her. If she cry again, then means she shit and just change her. If she cry again, then put her asleep. So I done all of this, they told me, and then, they're still not coming from the beach. It's already getting dark, and I really don't know what to do. So she wake up, she's happy, and I say, okay, let's make artwork. What else I can do? So I found some blanket, and she was totally naked, and there was like this beautiful little white baby, and I'm showing her, that she's female. I show her vagina. Jesus Christ is always showing the penis. I said, this is a great statement. I show the vagina. And the piece I call Vlatka, and this same Vlatka, right now, she's 20 years old. Can you stand up, please? And she's intelligent and wonderful, and I'm so incredibly happy. And I always forget her birthday. I'm the worst grandmother, but anyway, the godmother. But I think she still loves me, so it's okay. So now let's talk what happened after this.
So then one day you get a buzz on your doorbell in New York, and the FBI arrives.
They're just looking where I am because people have, my name for with the weapons somewhere in Atlanta. And I was on the list, but now you tell me.
I think all of you know the QAnon, the birth of QAnon is the thing called Pizzagate, where it was what was his name? It was a Podesta.
Hillary Clinton and so many.
So Tony, it was the WikiLeaks, Tony Podesta emails were leaked.
Okay, let me explain. That is a little bit more complicated. Anyway, Tony Podesta is a collector from Washington. He have the brother Tony Podesta, the Anthony Podesta. He was one in the elections for Hillary Clinton, working with her closely. So, he's collector of my work, and I invite him for dinner. And mostly when I make the dinners, I make really funny names for funny menus. So I call spirit cooking dinner. So I ask the Tony, come to my spirit cooking dinner. I make normal dishes, like I would say, you can eat potato, the baked potatoes, Tito baked potatoes made by the Serbian virgins or whatever. I just invent stuff. Anyway, but you have normal meal. So now he said to me, I have my brother who is also maybe in New York. Can you invite him too? And I never met him, and I invite him to please come, to the spirit cooking dinner. So this is many years before Trump was getting the first time elected. Now, WikiLeaks, when there was around Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Trump election, they actually went 5 years behind, a long time, to see every email this Podesta got in his box. And one email was inviting Marina Abramović, inviting for spirit cooking dinner. They Google me, and they see that I'm cutting communist star in my stomach, blood everywhere. Vlatka let you see completely invent story that I'm drinking children blood, that I am killing children. It was become unbelievable conspiracy theory that actually I was on the blacklist, and this blacklist was not fun. They will send me emails saying your names, your days are numbered. We will come to find you, and and I was constantly surrounded with the bodyguards. When I was in Amsterdam recently, I had a performance in Carré Theater. There was this huge flower out of roses made in the front, in the form of heart, in the front of the opera. And it was all these people there. I said, they're these roses for me. And they said, no, these roses are for children you eat. And I was like, wow. And this is, you can't get off. It's really dangerous. It's not fun at all. And this is one of the reasons, look, Vlatka is the beginning of all of this.
And you told me the FBI came to your house to say you murdered this child.
Exactly.
Which takes me to another interesting question. In your manifesto, you said an artist creates their own symbols. Symbols are an artist's language. The language must then be translated. Sometimes it's difficult to find the key. What's interesting in terms of symbols is that you're accused of being a Satanist because you cut a pentagram on your stomach, you lay down in a pentagram on fire. And I find it very interesting that if you are a performance artist and you cut a pentagram on your stomach, the pentagram equals...
It was communist star and not actually...
Yeah, but this is where I'm getting to. So it's called Satanist. But if you put the same pentagram on the Moroccan flag or the American flag or the communist star or the Heineken bottle of beer, it's not Satanist.
Heineken, really?
Heineken it's a pentagram.
I don't drink the beer. I have no idea.
It's a pentagram. Now, are we not living in an age of visual illiteracy where people can't read a symbol anymore?
That's completely true. But also misinterpretation in the press. I'm so tired of how really they treat press, the artists, especially performance artists. They would trash you all the time. If I was reading what is written with my early performance work, which is now in the museums, in collections, in the books, I would not even leave the home because it was like really ready to put me in the mental hospital. It was so hard to actually resist and not to be affected by the old shitty interpretation of the bread press. And it's still going on. It's never finishing,
You wouldn't have been caught up in the QAnon Pizzagate conspiracy theory if you were not so famous. And you ended up on the front page of everybody's newspaper and in TikTok because of Lady Gaga and Jay-Z. And Jerry Saltz was even coming to the performance, who will be a guest of ours in March at TheMerode. Lady Gaga has 45 million followers, and she really lifted you up into a whole nother category of artists. You shattered the glass ceiling, the glass wall, the glass door. You became singular. I think the only other artist historically ever who can compare with you would be somebody like Frida Kahlo. You have transcended the boundaries of art.
One thing really happened to me, which didn't happen to many artists, that actually I went into this general public. It's not anymore art public only. I have a kind of general audience. I have the kids who are 14 years old who come to me with the tears in the eyes and say, oh my God, you changed my life. How I can change somebody 14 years old? But this is something how that works. And I'm always asking why. Maybe because I don't lie. Maybe because I really tell the truth. Maybe that's real what I'm doing. And, I don't know. But there is some really, they come and they bring the parents to see my show, not otherwise around. And this is kind of phenomenon to reach this large audience that actually normally artists don't reach.
But does it get lonely?
You always have few friends, like you.
To become a person who's not a human being, You have become an icon. I mean, you are developing an avatar with a Belgian person.
But you know what happened with this icon thing? First they put you there and then trash you because you are there. I mean, it's unbelievable. You never win. This is it. You know, first you are unknown and then they discover you and they're really, you know, great articles about they discover you and then they love to trash you because they put you first. This is how you read newspaper. You always need bad news. There's no good news anymore. Bad news is one who really the people get to read.
If you watch TikTok, if you go online, the stories that people that are telling about you are not always necessarily correct.
I don't read TikTok. I don't have Instagram. I'm generation of Xerox, fax, and Telegram. This is my three things I like. And computer is already too much. You know how wonderful it is? You wake up in the morning, you take your dog, you write the letter by hand, you bring to the office, put a stamp in the post office, you go home. And you know that this letter would take time to get to the person you send. You know this would take time to answer. You have all this time for yourself. Now is a nightmare, especially in New York. You write the email, 3 seconds later you get fucking answer. You don't want the answer because you have to continue working on and on and on and on. It's never ending because we are addicted to technology. Technology was invented that human beings have free time. All our time was taken because we are addicted to every new gadget, to all of these medias. I just have to ignore because I will never have any time to actually read the book or do nothing or look out to the window or be in nature.
I mean, one of the things that you've done, because you have transcended these boundaries, is you have opened up the world of performance art. People know performance thanks to you. And so, yes, I have the guy's name now. So his name is Alex Jones, the guy who runs InfoWars, who was at the center of accusing you of being part of this crazy network of child murdering crazy people. And he was on trial, and his defense on the trial was, he's a performance artist, therefore it's okay. The same guy who was accusing you. And there's another woman, I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to give publicity, a TikTok superstar who had sex with 1,057 men in 12 hours. I think that's 2 per minute. And she has a thing on TikTok called Petting Zoo, which is your rhythm zero. So her idea is she's in a box, in a Perspex box, and people can do anything with her. She's calling herself a performance artist.
I have no idea. I don't look this stuff.
The reason why I'm raising this is that you mentioned in your book something fascinating, and that is, as the 70s turned into the 80s, performance finally became something with respect. But then it lost its spirit. And I love your quote. People could spit on the floor and call it performance. And when you have people like a pornographer saying they're inspired by your work and they're a performance artist, what do you think about that?
Tired of. You know, it's really important to see a larger picture. It's important to see the context. If you have the guy, the baker, who makes the best bread in the world, he's still the baker. If you have the gardener who makes the most beautiful garden, he's still the gardener. If you have whatever one of these influencers spit on the floor and do whatever, this influencer. But honestly, art, if Joseph Beuys makes the bread, is art, because he's making the context of art. Is everything important in which context you're making what you're making? And I'm talking about art context, and all the rest is, I don't care.
So one of the things that you've said that's very important is that, I think it was advice from an artist, I forget his name, an older artist. If you get good with your left hand, draw with your right hand. If you get good with your right hand, blindfold yourself and draw. You've reached the pinnacle of something extraordinary, giving birth to the artist who is present. How do you challenge yourself today? What is your broken arm way of making art?
It's really to do that you don't repeat yourself. And when you're good at something, move to something where you're not. I mean, you know, like now, first of all, theater was something that I really hate. When you're a young artist, you have to take theater, because theater is not performance. Theater is not real. You're repeating yourself. You're standing in the front of dark, in a dark audience in the front of you. And the blood is the ketchup, and the knife is not real knife. Performance, everything is real. But then, you meet like person like Willem Dafoe, and I made a theater piece with Bob Wilson, Life and Death of Marina Abramović, and then I realized that actually he to learn me, and he showed to me that you can go as an actor in the role and become absolutely that what you're doing and be in the present. So my actually experience changed. Then I start making also theater piece. Then opera. Opera is the absolutely oldest form of art. I mean, artists, especially me, performers, I will never go to opera. It's too long, 5 hours and blah blah. But now I was thinking, why I should not do opera? I never done before. So let's charge myself. And I then opera Seven Deaths of Maria Callas, and only show the dying opera. Nobody ever think about this. Then in every opera, women die on the end, and the dying is always spectacular because look much better dying of woman than the man. Men just die, but the woman is like all this pathos and colors and voice and beauty and so on. So Maria Callas died from broken heart. And I almost died from broken heart. So I wanted to really to do something that is also personal for me. So we staged the Seven Deaths of Maria Callas in opera, which is Madame Butterfly and Lucia Lammermoor and the Casta Diva and Traviata and so on and so on. And opera, my opera, it's not 5 hours. My opera is 1 hour and 36 minutes because dying is much shorter. But in the same time, this brings enormous young public to the opera and filled opera house completely. So become really something like a new media, how you put together performance and experience and opera and video and acting all together. So now I'm doing, now after the success of this opera, which every house opera asked me to do new opera, I'm not making another opera in my life. I've done one is enough. Now I'm making something completely different. I'm going tomorrow to Manchester and I'm making the work called Balkan Erotic Epic, which is insane, the biggest demanding work of my entire life. It's something to do with Balkan, study ancient rituals, pagan, in my all country of Balkan, Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, the Macedonia, Serbia, Montenegro, so on, where actually from 4th century, 5th century, 7th century, 14th century, how they use sexual organs, phalluses and vagina in these rituals in order to actually connect with nature, connect with the gods, connect with the mystery of life, connect with everything. It's really something to do explicitly sexual, but it's not pornographic. And everything is real. Everything what I've done, I'm doing with 120 people, is going to be in Manchester, and I expect it's going to be hell, because you know how people react to nudity today. But this is very clear. This is not pornography, it's humanity. So if you actually criticize your own past, you don't understand anything. And this is something that for me, it's so important to understand sexual energy, especially in this age now. I can talk about this freely. We have only one energy in our body, is a sexual energy. How we transform this energy into the love, tenderness, compassion, or aggression, violence, the incredible, the wars and everything else is happening now. I think that to understand sexual energy and how we can learn unconditional love is more important in this moment of human history than ever. So I expecting all negative criticism going to happen, and I'm already making the book only with negative criticism. It's going to be just to show that this political correctness really have to wake up and look into real, true story. I'm so passionate, I'm sorry.
Should we take some questions?
I'm dying for questions. I know the Belgians are a little bit, sometimes timid. So let's start with the 3 good questions. Wait, I have to tell you one story before this. My favorite, again, His Holiness Dalai Lama. You are talking 1985, Frankfurt. He's going a huge, conversation with His Holiness Dalai Lama, and it came this German philosopher. German philosopher asked the question with 45 minutes. In this question, he elaborated Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, everything he know, million citates from the different books. And it was unbelievable long and boring. And then on the end, His Holiness looked at him and he said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't understand question. Can you ask again?" So, please ask the question.
I'm an engineer. Like two seconds. I'd be really interested to hear from you. How do you see your scars? You have a lot of scars, I guess. I believe you have a couple of scars on your body. How do you feel when you look at your scars? How do you see your life passing through your eyes by looking at your scars?
I'll get another good story. So, I met a very young photographer in Rome. And he is bothering me to make portrait of me, and kind of get bored. And I say, okay, I'll give you 15 minutes. So I finally made an appointment. He came and he arrived exactly on time. And he came with his camera, who is unbelievable. You know, with the lens this big, the one that you use for the filming the football match or the tennis match. And I say to him, wow, very strange. I say, okay, what I should do, how I should pose for you. And he said to me, I am not interested in your face. Portrait of you is your scarves. They are really I was so jealous of this good idea. We became friends. He became my main photographer. And honestly, the scarves are my portrait. I'm very proud of them.
Do you have another question?
First of all, it was boring for you, it was interesting?
It was interesting.
Good.
It was. This whole conversation is about why and how does art matters. And you talked about history, but I was curious to have your opinion on how can art matter today in this fucked up world. And also, I think it's related, this other question, you talked about being less radical with age, if I understood correctly. Do you sometimes regret your own radicality from your past? And how do you deal with that?
I never regret my radicality for the past. I never look backwards. I hate melancholy and a kind of, looking backwards. Oh my God, good old days. I hate this. I'm looking in the present and what I'm going to do future and how much time is left that I have to do what I want to do. And art matters. Art always matters. Doesn't matter if, it's so interesting how performance is more and more important. Performance in the beginning, when really economy going down, performance is always there everywhere because it doesn't cost much money. But when economy go up, then you have all this expensive art. But doesn't matter. There's always need to do something which is true connection with the public. So performance will live like a phoenix out of his own ashes over and over again. But what I think also that if you see around you, without art, we can't live. This is a really spiritual food. A very simple question, answer to this. For me, art is oxygen of our society.
I have a question about what being an artist means. A humble Belgian artist born in Schaerbeek in 1929 once said he doesn't know what an artist is. He doesn't believe in art. He thinks that an artist is someone who has a strong desire to do something. Someone who is, for instance, eating an apple. The moment he has this envy to eat an apple, he has the talent to eat that apple. What do you think about that statement? Thank you.
I think it's a beautiful statement. But you have incredible background with a wonderful Belgian artist. I love Marcel Broders myself, If you think about him, he was making this wonderful poetry and with the plume, with the fountain pen, in the rain, and every word was actually washed in immediately what was made. I found this piece so wonderful because it's really about transparency, it's about transmission of energy right away. One of the most important pieces, I think, of art, it was Yves Klein selling the artist's ability to his collector. This was such an important gest. This was in 1956 on the bridge on the Seine. He came to the collector and said, I'm sending you artist's ability. He said, how much? He gave him the price. The collector signed the check, gave him the check. He take the match and burned the check. And all ashes go into the ground. So transaction was immaterial. This is what true art is. It's not about money. We have to make art anyway. We are selling or not selling because it's really urge. It's incredible. It's like breathing. You can't live without making art if you're a true artist.
I need your help because TheMerode is this huge building and I'm always getting lost here. Whenever I come to TheMerode for a meeting, they tell me, go to the pink room or the blue room, and I never know where these places are because who's going to remember a pink room? Now, TheMerode doesn't know it yet because I'm an artist and I'm going out of line. Would you agree to donate a work, even a small work, that we can put in one room in the TheMerode, and then we know that is the Abramović room. And then afterwards, I will ask other artists, and like that we can slowly build, so that way, if art matters at the TheMerode, we make it possible by artists supporting the TheMerode. An exchange, I'm sure they will allow you to have a lifetime membership here. And I'm going out on line here. I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but Marina, would you agree? Because the Abramović room sounds a whole lot better than the pink room.
Yeah, but I really like to put my avatar, which I was just making right here with Tax Company, and this right here is the Stephanie who is working on this. She's half Belgian, half Russian. We are working on this. It's about a year and a half now, and I choose to make avatar 60 years old, not young avatar, but really 60, because this is kind of serious with lots of wisdom. And why we don't put little avatar? Because this avatar can do what I can do. They can walk on the fire. They can walk on the knife ladders, they can fly, do things.
We can discuss the details, but you agree?
Yeah.
We're going to have an Abramović room.
But wait, is there any owner agree to this? I mean, do we have, this is the
He
guy.
looks happy.
Okay.
Bruno, what do you think?
Thank you very much for those moments. And you definitely member for life. We invite you whenever you want. It's your home. Come back. Thank you very much. Kendell, again.
Thank you.
What a moment.